Great. Okay, so if you look at this paper that was tested, given to us on the 14th, the requirement is very clear. Answer all questions in section 1 and any 3 questions in section 2. Section 1 has 20 multiple choice questions, each carrying 2 marks. Section 2 has 5 practical questions, each carrying 20 marks. Under section 2, you are required to create MS Excel worksheets with the name of the entity in each question and input your workings and solutions. You may use the Excel template well within the question. So question number 1. Data models evolve from conceptual. A data model. If, for example, you want to make use of the population statistics, for example, in Kenya, which is divided into various demographics. We have women, we have in this case here men, we have the youth, we have disabled, we have in this case here various categories. So for you to be able to make use of this kind of population model to do predictions like how many Kenyans will we be having in the year, say 2040. Of course, you'll have to look at the patterns, the population growth patterns, ETs, and then you come up with a regression model. So these data models here normally evolve from conceptual, which is a quick, high-level view of the business requirement, to logics, where you provide relationships. Like what relationships do we have between, for example, female and blah, 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 to logical, where the entities involved are expanded and include now more detail because you have expanded this model. And finally, the physical data model, which can be implemented with a specific database provider like Oracle and MySQL Server. Which of the following choice is correct? Now, ladies and gentlemen, of course, in this case here, for those of you who have done some research, if you have done your PhD or your MBA and you are involved, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of what here, you're involved in terms of doing a thesis. Of course, you know how it goes. We normally start with a concept paper. You do a concept paper. It could be a 2,000-word document where basically you say that this is the concept. Before you start any research, right? Before you start writing the proposal, there must be a concept which is a mini proposal where you are saying basically that this is at a high level. This is what I will have to do. These are the literature sources. First of all, this is my topic. These are the literature sources that I will be going through. Right? This person has said this and this about, for example, SACCOs in Kenya, right? Literature review. And then why am I doing this research myself? I'm doing this research because there is a gap, right? So after I finished the literature review, I'll be able to give them the research gap. And of course, after that, ladies and gentlemen, there is what we call the conceptual framework, ETC. Right? The same case with this data modeling. When you are talking of data modeling, first of all, we must conceptualize. Look at this thing from the business context, high level. Do, for example, a SWOT analysis to understand the business. So first of all, you come up with a concept. And then number 2, you develop the logistics. Right? And then number 3, now lastly, you'll be able to come up now with a model that you'll be able to say physically, hey, you guys, you gave me as a data analyst this particular model to develop for you. Here it is. Here it is. So then, ladies and gentlemen, I would want you to help me answer this question. If you are a student doing this exam, which multiple choice would have you gone for here? Is it that the entire statement is true as part A? Only the statement on the conceptual data model is true. That data models evolve from the conceptual. That is a quick high-level view of the business environment, business requirement. C, only the statement or logical data model is true. Logics, where the entities involved are now expanded and include more detail, or is it D, only the statement on physical data model is true? Is true. So which one would have you taken, ladies and gentlemen, for me to be able to mark this? Which one would have you taken? 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 I'm waiting to hear I'm waiting to hear. I'm waiting to hear. I'm waiting to hear. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is A. The entire statement is true. Just like we do the thesis, this is how we also do data analysis and the modeling. We start by conceptualizing everything, coming up with a concept, then we look at the logistics, and then we start entering this data in, for example, an Oracle server, MySQL server, for purposes of what now? Physical presentation to an organization for purposes of making use of it. Great. So look at question number 2. Question number 2. Which of the following would be more appropriate to replace the question mark in the following diagram? There is a great, beautiful diagram here. We have machine learning, mathematics and statistics, hacking skill, substantive research. So in the middle here, we have a question mark. What do you think in this case should we have in this? Is that a description of data analysis? Is it a description of data science? Is it statistical inference is about statistics? So C, I'll eliminate C. Predictive, this one here, I can't see it very well. Predictive modeling, of course, I'd also mentioned something to do with predict. So it can't be. So it is between A stroke B. It's between A stroke B. So which one would have you chosen? Hey, you guys, or if you did this exam, which one did you choose yourself? Which one did you choose yourself? A is correct. A is the correct one. Now, ladies and gentlemen, remember that data science is broader. Data science is the bigger thing. And then data analytics now is what is well within the egg. So the eggshell is data science. It has got everything there. But now what makes big difference between data science and data analytics, data science is more of coding. It extends further, and then you start now doing the codes, the coding, the programming, deprogramming. Now you're using the Python language, you're programming, you're coming up with, for example, applications, etc. So that science is quite huge. But anytime, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about data analytics, always think about machine learning, the AI, like the artificial intelligence, etc. Right? So you're using, for example, like the chat GPT, right? To do our research, to bring out the data that we need. Once we bring out the data that we need using this machine learning, ladies and gentlemen, substantive research, we shall be able to keep on, in this case here, getting substance, getting more data, because we're talking of big data, right? And of course, we shall be able to do what here to try to understand this, change this data to information. Now we are making use of what here statistics. And then at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, if it is data analytics, you should also be good in terms of hacking, right? There is what we call ethical hacking, for you to be able to get more information that you need. If, for example, they were to have another box here talking of coding, then everything here should have been about what here? Data science. Should have been about data science. Ladies and gentlemen, please listen and listen to me very well. 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 So we have here some document that I would want us to go through. Are you able to see my document? 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 Data analytics document. Data analytics, yes. So you're told here as businesses store and access more information online or in databases, they need employees capable of handling, organizing, and assessing digital material. Many companies employ data analysts to meet their data needs. Data analysts require specific skills to excel in their positions. As the world becomes more data-driven, many companies are using data analysis to improve their decision-making capabilities. Businesses can use the information they gather from data analysis to learn more about their customers, target audience, competitors, and the changes in their industry. If you enjoy identifying patterns, conducting research, and developing business strategies, then you may be interested in learning more about data analytics. So, ladies and gentlemen, the most important thing that you're supposed to, first of all, appreciate about this concept of what here, data analytics, is the concept that we will need as data analysts to collect data, organize this data very well. After organizing it very well, of course, we have to evaluate. There is a concept of evaluation. There is a concept of analyzing this data. And of course, after you analyze it, then automatically we shall have converted it from data to information, which we shall be able to present digitally to whatever company that wants to make use of what here, this material, this information, for purposes of what here, making decisions, for purposes of making decisions. Now listen and listen to me very well, ladies and gentlemen. Assuming in this case here, for example, you know, we always keep on monitoring situations. Like in December, somebody was telling me, Mwalimu, why don't you open a physical college somewhere? That if you open a physical college somewhere, then you shall be able to get what here, those students who would want to study physically, right? And then of course, that will be in addition to the ones you're teaching online. Then I did something small. I simply went and asked my friends, all these colleges are my friends, how many students do you have physically? I mean, 20, right? Like, so we are making use of information here, right? Which in this case here, I'm able to observe trends. Like I remember those old days when we used to teach somewhere, I could teach classes even with loudspeakers, right? In class physically. Those numbers are no longer there. Now students are trooping into online classes, and of course, reading on their own. Reading on their own is also something here, right? So it's always important that we make use of this data to make informed decisions, right? So anytime we talk of data analytics, always remember that data itself now has become a king in the business industries here, in the business world. Before you make any decisions, see, for example, you are a farm in this Uber industry, which would want to come to, I mean, you must observe the patterns of Kenyans. How do they move in this case here between, for example, estates? We know that, for example, in Nairobi here, Nairobians basically, they like hopping like at night, Friday. Like somebody was telling me some time back that they are able to hop between clubs like 7 times a night. Mara wako sijui ni Quavers ama ni gani, Thika Road. Mara wamekimbia Rongai like that. You see, now that becomes a very good market for what here, for this Uber business. So let our business decisions in this case here be guided by what here? By information. And now as a data analyst, I should be able to look at this information, looking at this information, and then at the end of the day, we do what here? We should be able to make decisions. And then I can see them saying physical class is better. That is your right. That is your right. I believe here there are those students that I've been with for so long, and that they have been able, like one was calling me yesterday, she did 666 and she's been passing throughout online. Of course, I'm not saying that I should make you in this case here not to go physical. You make a decision. Make a decision. Like if you are here and you're feeling you're wasting time, you jump out, isn't it? And go and join a physical class. That's business. That's business really. Okay, so what is data analysis? Data analysis refers to the process of using analytical. Please look at this. Statistic is also there. Analytical and the statistical tools to gather and evaluate large quantities of information. Data analysts use these tools to uncover patterns and identify inconsistencies. Then they use this information to help companies make smarter business decisions based on current or predicted trends in their market and industry. Data analysis plays an important role in the business industry because it helps organizations improve their operations, increase their revenue margins, and meet their customer needs. A data analyst retrieves, organizes, and analyzes information to help a company improve production, efficiency, or another valuable aspect of the business's operations. Data analysts work in all industries from retail to academia. Often they use the data they gather to create reports that summarize patterns and offer solutions to stakeholders in the form of updated systems, procedures, or protocols. Companies use data analysis specifically to improve outcomes like productivity or profits, or to understand employee or customer what here needs. Now listen here, who is a data analyst? Who is a data analyst? Now, common responsibilities here for you to understand who is a data analyst. Common responsibilities for a data analyst would include gathering data, finding patterns in this data, writing reports, collaborating with stakeholders. If you're a data analyst, will be the one in this case here will be able to go ahead and tell these stakeholders that should we implement this system, this is what is going to happen. And this is how, in this case, if it's employees, for example, your jobs will be affected. If it is a shareholder, this is how your profitability will be, presenting their findings, creating systems. So what skills do you need then as a data analyst? A data analyst, you need to be good in what we call MySQL, very important. MySQL, spreadsheets, critical thinking, you must be a great thinker, statistical programming languages, data visualization, you must be a good public speaker, you must be good in artificial intelligence, data storage, communication, pretty much similar to public speaking, problem solving, you must be a good researcher, attention to detail, collaboration. You must know, especially when you are doing what we call data mining, it's a project by itself. So you must be good, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of what here project management. Then we have data preparation. We have statistics. Types of data analysis. There are several strategies and the tools you may use to implement data analysis for an organization. Here are some of the most popular types of data analysis methods you can explore. And the first one, ladies and gentlemen, before you start any analysis, you must mine data mining. Data mining is the process of discovering patterns and knowledge from large sets of data. It involves techniques and algorithms from various fields, such as machine learning, statistics, and database systems to extract information from data and transform it into an understandable structure for further use. The ultimate goal of data mining is to extract useful information from data and transform it into an understandable structure for further use. This can be used for various purposes, such as for business decision-making, scientific research, or fraud detection. Ladies and gentlemen, if, for example, today you are hired to be a data analyst at IEBC. IEBC, of course, they keep a register of voters. So when you are given the entire register, you're given the database like this. Then using this MySQL, for example, you should be able to get into this database and mine whatever information that you want. Mine is about digging. You don't want the whole database, you would want a subset. So for example, you may go there and ask a simple question, mine data regarding, of course, people who have died, who are still in the register, who should be struck out, right? So there is quite a lot of mining that you could do there. You can, for example, in this case, somebody can ask you a simple question. How many female voters do we have? I should be able to mine. I should be able to mine that and present it in a way that will be useful for purpose of what you're making decisions, for purpose of making decisions. So I'm repeating again that data mining is a process of discovering patterns and the knowledge from large sets of data. It involves techniques and algorithms. We shall be able to understand what algorithms are from various fields, such as machine learning, statistics, and database systems, to extract information from data and transform it into an understandable structure for further use. That is very important to me. That's very important to me. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we shall be using a very special model here to mine data. It's called cross-industry standard process. That standard process which cuts across all industries, right? Common to all industries, right? So this CRISP, data mining, DM stands for data mining. CRISP is cross industry standard process. CRISP here. So this CRISP DM stands for the cross industry standard process for data mining. The CRISP DM methodology provides a structured approach to planning a data mining project. It is a robust and well-proven methodology. The CRISP DM, I'm again repeating this, cross-industry standard process for data mining model is a widely used framework for organizing the data mining process. It describes the process in terms of 6 main phases. The first thing you have to do in any data mining process is business. You must understand the business. This is the first phase where the business objectives are defined and the data mining problem is identified. Number 2, data understanding. In this phase, the data is collected and explored to get a better understanding of its characteristics and properties. So we must understand the data itself. Then we prepare the data. Data preparation, the data is cleaned and transformed in this phase to make it ready for modeling. In this phase, various data mining techniques are applied to the data to identify patterns and relationships. Like you can decide to make use of regression analysis to come up with a regression model for purposes of what your prediction. Then we have evaluation. The models are evaluated to determine which one best meets the business objectives. Of course, at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, you may come up with various models here. It could be a simple regression model. It could be a multiple regression model. At the end of the day, they should be evaluated for you to see between the two, which one is able to give us better predictions. So there must be evaluation of the models that have been developed up there. And then, of course, the moment you discover and they say that this is what I would want to make use of, then you have to deploy. Deployment, the final model is deployed in the organization and used for decision making. Now, allow me to again bring back our paper. Let me bring back the paper that was done last semester. Let me bring back this paper here. Question number 3. According to cross-industry standard process for data mining, data modeling involves, could you kindly go through those choices A, B, C, D? Tell me in this case here, what does data modeling involve? Data modeling, according to how you've understood it from up there. What is data modeling? What is data modeling? Question number 3. Nancy D, Silas D, Johnson A, D. Okay. One more minute. Let's see what these guys have. Please go back to the notes, kidogo. Salome, okay. Let me go back to the notes. I hope they'll be able to help you, Salome, to give us the correct. Now, Salome, with that, I believe now you'll be able to see the correct answer now, right? Now you should be able to see the correct answer now. You should be able to see the correct answer now. You should be able to see the correct answer now. Muindi says boy. Bulindi Fanuel. Anne says boy. So 2 more minutes. Please let me return the question here. Now, boy is out of this because you see, boy is part of preparation, really. It's part of what we call data cleaning, fixing or removing incorrect, corrupted, incorrectly formatted data and information. That is data cleaning, right? It can't be modeling. It can't be modeling. It can't be modeling. It can't be modeling, right? So the 2 minutes, we still have 1 more minute. We have 1 more minute. A, obtaining data and information from different sources, processing and storing for future reference. Really, it can't be. When you're modeling, for example, a good thing you're supposed to be thinking about when modeling is regression analysis. If you remember from your management accounting, regression analysis, where in this case you could draw that particular diagram, right? Scatter diagram, and see those patterns there. And then you come up with a regression line using what you call the line of best fit, right? Trying to establish relationships for purposes of what here? Prediction. So the correct answer, ladies and gentlemen, here is D. When we talk of data modeling, it's creating a visual representation of either a whole information system or parts of it to communicate connections like y equals a plus bx, the regression equation, y equals a plus bx, or parts of it to communicate connections between data points and what we call structures, and what we call structures, right? The good thing with these multiple choice questions at times, you can also use what we call the elimination technique, isn't it? You can use elimination technique. And of course, most of these things will become clearer as we go on. Because like now, I'm going to look at each of those 6 components of the CRISP model. But before I do that, through guesswork, look at question 4. This is pure guesswork. This pure guesswork. Question 4 is pure guesswork. Read the statements below and answer the questions that follow. Data mining relates to turning raw data into useful information. 2, data mining using built-in algorithms or models should guarantee some result. Which of the following choices apply? The 2 statements are true. Only the first statement is true. C, only the second statement is true. D, none of the statements is true. Which one? Through guesswork, before I tell you what we shall be doing. Which one? You guys are good in guessing. Which one should we talk about here, really? Okay. So A, B, C, Now, ladies and gentlemen, the first one must be correct because of the definition. We say that data mining, if you remember how we define the data mining, it's all about, in this case, extracting. That's how we read it. You extract raw data and then you work through until you come up with a model, which in this case, you shall be able to do what? To deploy. So data mining relates to turning raw data into useful information. So Roman 1 is correct kwanza. So anyone ambaye ina Roman 1 ni uongo. Kama inasema only the first statement is true, inaweza kuwa among the correct. C, only the second statement is true, that's wrong. D, none of the statements is true, wrong. So now I'm debating between A and B. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in data mining, so long as you've got a model, so long as you've got a model here, you shall be guaranteed of some result. It doesn't matter whether the result is wrong. But at least when you have a model like an Excel model, if I say 3 times 4, it will give me an answer. Whether the answer is wrong or not is a different thing. But when you are doing data mining, for example, using the CRISP model, which is well built into this computer, right? I will be able to get some result. I'll be guaranteed of some result. So the two are correct. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please do me a favor. The correct answer here is A. Please do me a favor. You can't get all of them wrong throughout. Now, this time around, you must be able to get something correct. Question number 5, you can't get all of them. Kwani iko mchawi amekuonea kutoka nyumbani kwenu. The 5th one now should be correct, really. As I go back to my notes, the 5th one should be correct, really. The 5th one should be correct, really. Which of the following V's of data describes data as multi-factor and structured dynamic? I taught you this concept on Monday. The 5 V's, I hope you remember them. The 5 V's. This multi-factor, is it veracity? Veracity is about truthfulness. Faithful representation. Is it about value? Variability? Variety? Kuna variability au nasema C? Wasikudanganye. The correct answer here is D, variety. Could you kindly, you guys, please do me a favor. Is there somebody who can remember the 5 V's? Is there somebody who can write them down very fast? The ones who attended the Monday's class. Can somebody in this case here remind us the 5 V's? Remind us the 5 V's. Somebody remind us the 5 V's. Velocity, volume, veracity. Veracity, they are repeating again. I like that. Veracity, value, velocity, volume, velocity, variety, veracity, value. I can see at least you remember them. Fortunately, you'll be getting, so we have a volume, velocity, veracity, variety, value. Look at the ones given by David Owaga. We have volume, velocity, veracity, variety, and value. Those are the ones that we spoke about. And variety is the one that talks about multivariables, many multi-sources, right? Many sources. So variety is the correct one. And most of you, because I was involved in this thing here, most of you are choosing C, but don't worry. That's why we are here, to correct our wrongs. Great. And then, of course, this paper, ladies and gentlemen, also needs a lot of exposure. This paper needs a lot of exposure. You see, like now here, they were asking students, which of the following is an example of discrete data? Discrete data. Which one in this case here would have you taken as discrete data? Remember, to some big extent, discrete means what? You're countable without decimals. You are moving in definite gaps, definite gaps. Like if, for example, we come to your home, we'll be able to count number of children. Aura has got 2 kids. I would have wanted to get 5, but you know, people don't like many children nowadays. But I would have really wished to get many. But the point is this: Aura has 5. My brother has 2. Another one has got. You see, that is discrete data from house to house, ladies and gentlemen. In this case here, we can't get one has got 3.5 children. Height of kids, this could in this case here, for example, one is 5'7", another one is 5'6", right? Continuous, this continuous. Behavior of children, this is not even countable. It's not even measurable. Behavior of children is more qualitative. So this one is out. The test scores, this was quite confusing, but you see, even test scores, somebody can get 3.5, somebody can get 40.5. That is the 0.5. So basically, discrete data, the best example was number of children. So somebody who has done some research must have gotten this question nicely. Great. And you can see most of them are getting. Now, you see, guess quickly, you see, you see the Mari here, the Mari saying, Mwalimu, this paper was too hard. You see, like now the data mining, as much as we say that we never really covered quite a lot because of, we were in darkness, all of us. Some of these things, we did them. Lipata, like you don't know what happened. We shall overcome. Don't worry. Let's project the future. Let's look at the future. Let's look at the future. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would want to come back to my paper now. So now I would want us to go through each of these components of CRISP model one at a time. So we have here business understanding, data understanding, data preparation, we have modeling, we have evaluation, we have deployment. And then, of course, we have now our data being processed here. Now, phase number 1 is about business understanding. The first stage of the CRISP DM process is understanding what you want to accomplish from a business perspective. Your organization may have competing objectives and constraints that must be properly balanced. This process stage aims to uncover important factors influencing the project's outcome. You failing to understand the business that you would want to analyze its data will be the worst decision ever. Neglecting this step can mean much effort is put into producing the right answers to the wrong questions. What are the desired outputs of the project? We must ask ourselves when we're trying to understand this business. Set objectives. Describe your primary objective from a business's perspective. I would want, in this case here, for example, to analyze data for IBC for purposes of this and this. There may also be other related questions that you would like to mention. For example, your primary goal might be to keep current customers by predicting when they are prone to move to a competitor. Like now, some of you may be moving to a competitor. So what do I need to do? I need to analyze data and, of course, realize what you guys in this case here may want to remain with me. Produce a project plan. It is at this stage of understanding the business that we shall be able to produce a project plan. I told you from the word go, a data analyst must be a good project planner, must be a good project manager. So you must know how to make the network. I'll do these activities from here to here. There are activities that have to wait for other activities to be done before I start doing them. There are ones that can be done concurrently. So I have to produce a project plan. Describe the plan for achieving the data mining and the business goals. The plan should specify the steps to perform during the rest of the project, including the initial selection of tools and techniques. Business success criteria. So business success criteria, and the business success criteria, ladies and gentlemen, of course, I'll be defining my milestones. At what point do I say, have I succeeded? Here you lay out the criteria you will use to determine whether the project has been successful from the business point of view. They should ideally be specific and measurable. For example, reducing customer beat to a certain level. However, sometimes it might be necessary to have more subjective criteria, such as giving useful insights into the relationships. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start looking at like this is the QuickBooks system that you have been using, now would want to change it, right? Maybe go and start working with an ERP. I must assess the current situation. Otherwise, you may jump from, in this case here, a pan into fire. So you're trying to understand the entire business. As step number one, you must assess the current, where are we, who are we. This involves more detailed fact finding about the resources, constraints, assumptions, and the other factors you need to consider when determining your data analysis goal and project plan. So the current situation, you're looking at your SWOT, your strengths, weaknesses, right? Inventory of resources. List the resources available for the project, including personnel, including data here, computing resources, hardware platforms, software, right? Requirements, what is required of me? What assumptions are we going to make? What are the major constraints here? List all the requirements of the project, including the schedule of completion, the required, let me check the charts here, perhaps they're not seeing. Comprehensibility and the quality of the results, and any data security concerns and legal issues. Make sure that you are allowed to use the data, because you may extract data that you can't use outside there. List the assumptions made by the project. These may be assumptions about the data that can be verified during data mining, but may also include non-verifiable assumptions about the business related to the project. It is important to list the latter if they affect the validity of the results. List the constraints on the project. These may be constraints on the availability of resources, but may also include technological constraints, such as the size of the data set that is practical to use for modeling. Risks, it's very important. What may go wrong? List the risks or events that might delay the project or cause it to fail. List the corresponding contingency plans, like what action will you take if the risks or events occur. Terminology, is good to have lists of, for example, abbreviations, the glossary, very important, right? You must do a cost-benefit analysis. Cost-benefit analysis, how much will it cost us? What is the value that we shall derive? Remember, one of those 5 V's is the value. What value are we going to derive out of this data mining? Data mining goals. Determine data mining goals. A business goal states objectives in business terminology. A data mining goal states project objectives in technical terms. For example, the business goal might be increase catalog sales to existing customers. I want to increase my revenue. A data mining goal might be to predict how many units a customer will buy, predicting given their purchase over the past 3 years. Demographic information, don't worry about this. These are things you'll be able to understand. Still, when I'm trying to do business understanding, I must produce, I'm repeating this again, I must produce a project plan. So project plan is very, very important there. All right. All right. So I can just read this on your project plan, because I can see I'm almost there. So project plan, list the stages to be executed in the project with their durations, the way we are drawing this particular network. Questions in quantitative analysis, come up with the activities, give us their durations. If you would want to even draw a Gantt chart, resources required, inputs, outputs, and dependencies, where possible, try and make explicit large-scale iterations. In the data mining process, for example, repetitions of the modeling and evaluation phase. As part of the project plan, it's important to analyze the dependencies between time schedules and risks. Mark the results of this analysis explicitly in the project plan, ideally with the actions and recommendations if the risks are manifested. Decide which evaluation strategy will be used in the evaluation phase. Your project plan will be a dynamic document. Of course, project plans change. At the end of each phase, you will review progress and achievements and update the project plan. Initial assessment of tools and techniques. At the end of the first phase, you should undertake an initial assessment of tools and techniques. For example, you select a data mining tool that supports various methods for different stages of the process. It's important to assess tools and techniques early in the process, since the selection of tools and techniques may influence the entire project. Ladies and gentlemen, please listen and listen to me very well. The most important thing here, the most important thing here under CRISP model is for us to understand the business, right? Get to understand the business. How do you understand the business? Understand your assignment very well. Sit down with the management. Have a thorough discussion. What do you require of me, right? What resources are you giving me for this work? I'll be able to put down a project plan. I'll be able to evaluate the various risks, right? Because mostly when we are talking of data analytics, like as accountants, at the end of the day, it may involve making changes of what your systems, right? So that we must evaluate, we are changing this to this, what will happen? What will happen? So once you join the class, of course, fully, once you join this class fully, yes, you will be able to get notes. Yes, I haven't actually given these notes to anybody. I promise to give them out on Saturday because I want to prepare just one complete document. I've now reached 100 pages. One complete document which I share with you. Itakuwa kazi yenu pia kusoma as we move along, because I would want to adopt the style of what here using questions and answers. Itakuwa much faster for us to move that way. So all the new students who are interested, ladies and gentlemen, in joining my great class should be able to call us, for more information, and this is our number. Now, there is a student asking there, how is this data analysis important to accountants? I believe it is the most important subject for an accountant. If I was to be asked, I would say all subjects here to be removed, right? To be removed, and then they replace them with what here? Everything data analytics. And then we do, if it's NPV, we do NPV using Excel. That way we'll become what here? Better accountants, because now the world has moved really up there. The world is about technology. How is it tested? Like kuna theory and practical. So how it is tested is like this. This is how it is tested. Like now, this is last semester's paper. So it has got two sections. So we have the theory section. which has got 20. Yeah, and then now we have section 2 here. Section 2, like here, calculate annual gross revenues, etc. Section 2, like this forecasting question was a heavy one, but I've been able to do solutions for them. Actually, what I would suggest, like the students who did this particular exam, last semester, is it possible you share with me your solutions? I mark them I mark them, especially the computation ones. Ukadelete kwa nini? Joshua Aura 9 at Gmail. Kunaya alipita, yes. In that group of ours, about 20 students passed, yes. Yeah, you carry your laptop to the exam room. Will this, in this case here, be done outside Kenya? Of course, very soon they'll be opening this up. CIFA students, of course, BDA and financial modeling, they are quite similar. If you attend this business data analytics paper, at the end of it, you need like 2 or 3 sessions. We cover the modeling aspect. Where will we? Most of our students sat for this paper at Kasneb Towers. Yeah, David Owaga, please go ahead and ask now. David is asking, or rather I can see him mentioning that this data analytics is leaning towards digital competency in preparation analysis of financial statements, forecasting it, which is true, because they're looking at data analytics for the accountant. But of course, later on, I would really expect you, great students of mine, to also go and, expand this, broaden your knowledge, do the Python, do many other things outside there. Great. You guys have started asking so many questions now. You and answers for last semester, I don't want to do it that way. Liliana Cheng, I'm sorry. I would want you guys to try the questions and then I mark them.